talk about what you're going to make. It's whole wheat bread, and this is something you make for your family.
Yes.
Okay. And how many loaves will it make?
This is going to make 2 loaves.
Okay. And how fast do you guys go through 2 loaves?
Well, they're 2 small loaves, so maybe a week and a half, 2.
Okay. All right. Show us how you make bread.
All right, so we'll start off with our wet mixture. So this is about 2.5 cups of warm water, and it should be warm enough that you can stick your finger in for about 3 seconds, but it shouldn't be so hot that it will kill the yeast. So we'll put that into one bowl, along with 1 tablespoon of honey. And we'll dissolve that in. And once that's dissolved, we'll put in 2 teaspoons of yeast. Okay. And we'll let that sit for a little bit while we get our flour started. And before I do, I realized that I took 1 teaspoon of salt instead of 2. Do we have salt in here?
Yep, we'll find some salt.
All right, so I need another teaspoon of salt.
Okay.
Okay.
Talk about the different flours you're using.
All right. So for our flours, I'm using all-purpose and whole wheat. We're going to do half and half. You can also substitute any white flour for all-purpose flour. That just makes sure that the bread isn't super dense, and it also helps with the rising a little bit, because if it's all whole wheat, it doesn't rise as much. So we'll go ahead and put 2 cups of whole wheat. And we've done 2.5 and 2.5. I'm doing 2 and 3 today. So this is going to be 2 cups of whole wheat. And 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And I'm also adding 1 cup of rolled oats. If you didn't want to add that, you could just add in 1 more cup of flour. So we'll add that in, as well as 2 teaspoons of salt. So this is 1 teaspoon. And 2 teaspoons. And if anything, it should be more salt rather than less salt. So we'll go ahead and mix that together. Okay, and once that's well mixed, you can add in your liquids. So we'll go little by little. We may not need all of it, so we'll start mixing it, and then if it's too dry, then we can add the rest of it. Thank you. And we will knead this bread with our hands. Okay. So with your clean hands, you'll want to knead this bread for about 5 to 10 minutes. until it's nice and almost elastic.
So the purpose of kneading is to work up the gluten. That's what you're working on, is to create those bands, the gluten in wheat.
Mm. So then for gluten-free bread, you wouldn't need to knead it?
You probably work it a little bit, but it's for a different reason, for a gluten-free bread. You're right.
Oh.
So if you're making something that you don't want a bread texture, sometimes you can overwork the gluten. If you're making some kind of a sweet dough or a cake, then too much mixing could cause it to be too elastic, and that's not what you want. Something more fluffy when you're making a sweet bread.
So after we finish kneading this and we get a nice elastic feel to it, we'll put this aside we'll actually coat it in olive oil first, and then we'll put it aside for about an hour to rise in a room temperature. If it's a little cold in your room, you might want to have a blanket over it or a towel or something to keep it a little bit warmer. And it'll double in size, and then we'll be back.
Alrighty. Evelyn, it looks like we have our finished product. Tell us the process that you went through after you finished kneading.
Right, so we finished kneading and then we covered it and let it rest at room temperature for an hour, or until it was double in size. And then after that, I divided it into 2 loaves and put each loaf in a greased bread pan. And then after that, I let it rise again, covered, for about 30 minutes. It's not going to rise as much as it did before, but it will rise a little bit. So 30 minutes to an hour depends on how warm the room is. And then after that, you'll bake it for 40 minutes on 350. And then you'll take it out on racks and cool it completely, and then that's where we got to now.
Okay, let's slice a piece and see what it looks like. Ah, nice. Okay. The beauty of making homemade bread, you can have any thickness you want.
Yep.
All right. Excellent job. Thank you, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Okay, Alva, welcome. This is the first time you've demoed with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I am Alva Lee, and I am a stay-at-home mom, and I do music part-time, teaching music lessons and musician.
Okay, and you teach what, piano or?
Yeah, piano, violin.
Piano and violin. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yes.
And you have one child?
Yeah, one baby.
Okay, one baby.
Yeah.
All right. And how old is she?
He is. Yeah, he's 10 months.
Okay.
Actually, 11 months.
11 months old. All right. So, as a family, what do you guys like to do?
Oh, we love to take walks around where we live. We love to be in the kitchen together and cook and sing songs together.
All right. So, little music, a little outdoors, and a little cooking.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to make some cheese sauce and some potatoes.
Correct. Yes.
All right. Show us what you got.
Sure. All right, we'll get started. Have Carrie help. Thank you. Okay, so we'll get started with our cheese sauce. Carrie, and at the side, maybe Carrie, could you do chop the potatoes?
Yes.
Got that done.
Already done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, let me put this in. So we are
Okay.
going to add, let's put this over here. First part of this recipe, so it's a two-part recipe, cheese sauce and the potatoes. We're going to put 1/4 cups of raw cashew, and then a 1/3 cup of carrots.
Nice. Gives it like the cheesy color.
That's right, the color, that's where the color comes from. And then we have 1 1/4 cup diced peeled potatoes. Oops. Okay,
Is that enough water, you think?
yeah, should be.
Okay.
So we'll just boil this until simmer, and then simmer for 10 to 15 minutes
Okay.
until tender.
Really?
Yes, let's put the potatoes in this mixing bowl.
Okay.
Right in the shot there. Okay, good. Can use. Next, we'll use coconut oil.
Oil, how much?
I'm so sorry. Hold
How
on.
much coconut
I'm
oil?
sorry, not that
Oh,
one.
no.
Can we do the avocado oil?
Oh, this one?
We'll do 1 tablespoon, please. And then 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. And 1/2 teaspoon of, 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Great. Great. Then paprika.
Oh. How much of this are you using?
That's just to taste and for color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Next we have about 1/2 teaspoon sea salt.
This looks good.
Yay. I'll put that in. Wonderful. Okay. Does that look good?
Yeah, does that look pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
You can see that.
Yes, perfect. So we're going to just line it up here in a single layer.
Okay. Here, I'll let you spread it out.
Perfect.
Do you want to get seasoning on there?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I don't know if there's usually enough.
Get every little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Sounds like it's getting to a good boil.
Yeah, it's boiling now. Maybe get like a fork.
Sure.
Kind of gets stuck together, huh?
They do.
There you go.
Wonderful. Okay. So these will go into the oven for 25 minutes at 400 degrees.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Let's check on our cheese sauce here, or our cashews and. Okay. That looks good. So once that's to boil, we'll simmer it down there for maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So we're back. We are going to drain this.
Oh, okay. Can
Yeah.
you train it?
Sure. Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah.
And we'll start with our cheese sauce here. All you need to do for this cheese sauce is some coconut oil, 2 to 3 tablespoons of coconut oil, and some fresh lemon juice, 1 1/2 teaspoon of lemon juice. And then 1 medium clove garlic. And this is the nutritional yeast, 2 to 3 tablespoons. And we have a ½ teaspoon salt, plus 1/8 teaspoon. Great.
So
Okay,
don't
so
we
we'll just put this in
dump it?
here.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Carrie.
There's a little bit of liquid.
Sure. Actually, I might need some water to help it blend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you mind get some a little bit of water?
Yeah, I think it's.
I forgot to mention for the cashews, it says to soak overnight, but if you don't have time, I did blend it together. I boiled it together with the potatoes and carrots. That will give you that creamy consistency.
There's
All
some
right,
water.
perfect. So we'll add some water just to get the blender going. Cheese sauce. And all these ingredients, garlic, coconut oil. Yeah.
That'll make it nice and creamy, huh?
Yes. Like that velvety taste cheese. All right, and then our nutritional yeast, salt. May I borrow that fork?
Oh, yeah.
Spreading that. And our lemon. You okay? 1 and 1/2 teaspoon lemon.
So is that like half a lemon you just squeeze in there?
Yeah, and I do love lemon, so I maybe tend to add a little bit more, but yeah, you could measure that out if you'd like for 1.5 teaspoon. Okay,
Looks good.
yay. So put the lid on. Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. Just to shake it up a little bit. Oh, here I got some actually, water. And some water. And mix it up a little bit more. Okay. So you'll blend until smooth, and the finished product is we have right over here.
That looks so good.
Yeah,
That cheese gets kind of thick, huh?
it does actually. Let
Do you
me
need a
use this.
spoon? Oh, you got
I
it.
guess this one. So yes, this is the texture of it. We'll just drizzle it on our potato. And now you can add anything to your liking, like olives, chili, cilantro, tomatoes, red. It's endless possibilities.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Yay.
Okay, Carrie, maple nut rolls. And so this is a
Yes.
form of like a cinnamon roll.
Yes.
I'm
yeah.
excited. Go
So
for it.
good. Yeah, so today I'm making a recipe called maple nut rolls. It's from this book right here, Cooking with the Mischief Sisters. And the recipe is a little complicated because it's actually for a large group. So my mom made it a lot smaller proportion-wise because it makes 50 originally. So we're not making that many today. This will probably make about half a dozen to 12 or so cinnamon rolls. But so what I already started doing just to make sure, because we're using yeast, is I went to make sure it's activated, and you can see right here it's already foaming up. So we know our yeast is good, which is important. So first thing I will do is I'm going to combine all the water, which is 3/4 a cup of water. So Courtney, I'm just going to dump this in here, and then I'll have you can use this to put in 3/4 a cup of water.
And then we're gonna add applesauce, which is in this container right here. So we're adding a tablespoon of applesauce. Thank you. And then there's actually apple juice concentrate in here too. So it's kind of using a more natural form of sweetener in these rolls. So you don't have to feel guilty about eating them. And that's in the freezer. I think I put it in that one. Yeah, it's a little container like this. It has apple juice, frozen apple juice. So we'll just add this in there. I should have taken this out earlier. Probably the water will help. Maybe I'll dump it in the water to kind of melt it a little bit so I don't make my yeast too cold. This is a family favorite recipe. My mom makes them all the time, but it's kind of like a special treat, like for before we go to church on the weekend, on Sabbath. We'll have this, or holidays. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and add this together. So now I need a teaspoon of salt. I'm not sure if, let me see if that's a teaspoon. Yeah, okay. Oh, that was half a teaspoon, so let me do a little bit more. That must have been a teaspoon. Okay, so we're gonna mix all this together, and then now we just start adding the flour. So this recipe has both white and a whole wheat flour in it, and it's broken down, but still I feel like there's too much flour when I've made this, so you just kind of add flour till the dough starts kind of sticking together, becoming more of a soft dough. But I go ahead and add all the whole wheat flour in so we make sure we get it. So it's a half a cup of whole wheat flour. And then we can just go ahead and start dumping the white flour in. It says 4 3/4 cup, but I haven't ever used all of that. See, it's already starting to get kind of, it's probably enough. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so it says to kind of form it into a soft dough. So we're just going to kind of make sure it's all mixed together really good. And now it says to let it rest for 20 minutes. So while that's resting, do you have a dish towel over there? I think in that drawer we can kind of cover it up a little bit. Yeah, we'll just kind of keep it covered. And we'll time that for about 20 minutes. And in the meantime, we're going to make the filling and prep our pans. So the filling is really easy. It's like a date jam is what they call it. And we're making a half of this recipe for 50. So we're using 2 cups of dates, and make sure they're pitted. Very important if you go to blend it. 2 cups of dates, and then a half a cup of water. But I always feel like I use a lot more water than that. So we'll go ahead and you can use this one here if you want. So you can do warm. Actually, I skipped a step. So maybe you could take that part out. So what we do is we put this in here, and then we're going to fill this with water. So go ahead and fill this with a half a cup of water. And then we're going to put that in the microwave on high for 1 to 2 minutes. And that'll make it nice and soft. Thank you. do 1 minute. All right. There's that. Okay, so while that's going, we can go ahead and kind of prep our pans. So I didn't have a pan big enough, so we're just going to use 2 of these small pans and just spray them with a little bit of olive oil spray so nothing sticks. And basically what you do is just pour in maple syrup on the bottom to cover the whole bottom. So I'm probably going to add a little bit more to that. I have another container over there. Right here. Yeah. So I'll just pour a little bit more in there until it's kind of covered the bottom a little bit. And then you just sprinkle the whole base of the pan with pecans. And these get so good in there because they get kind of roasted and they soak up some of the sugar from the maple syrup. So it's kind of evenly coated. I don't know if you can kind of see that. All right, so these feel soft. Okay, those feel pretty soft. So now we're just gonna dump it all in the blender. And usually that happens, so you have to add more water. Can you give me a little bit more? So I feel like I add quite a bit more water to this because it usually gets pretty thick. That's good. Let's see what that looks like. You can see how hot it is, all the steam coming up. That looks pretty good. It's kind of a nice, smooth consistency. So you want it to be pretty creamy. And that's going to be our filling once we roll it all out. So we'll just continue waiting for the dough to rest, and then we're going to roll it out and put this on top of it. Okay, so now our dough has rested for 20 minutes, so it looks a little bigger than what it did before. We're just going to take it out here and put a little flour actually down just so it doesn't get as sticky. Just kind of put some on the outside, all around it. And you're just going to make this into a big rectangle. Maybe a little more flour. Just going to kind of do that so it'll be easier to stretch. Oop, I made a hole in it. These are so good. You like them, huh, Courtney? And I like it because the dates are the natural sweetener in it, and you don't have to use like a lot of like brown sugar or regular sugar that's found in other cinnamon rolls. So I made that hole in the middle, and now it's kind of there. So I'm just trying to cover that up. Okay, so now that we have this like kind of spread out into a rectangle, we're gonna spread all of our date jam, which that's what that looks like out of the blender. We're just gonna spread all that on there, and then you can go ahead and sprinkle cinnamon all over it. So you just put this all across. Try not to go up to the edge. Just on the date jam? Yeah, well, you can put it on the dough too. Tastes good with a lot of cinnamon. And so you just put it all the way this way, and that way when you roll it up, it doesn't leak out so easily if you don't go all the way up to the edge. Okay. So, yeah, you can put a little more if you want. That looks good. Okay, so now we'll just need a sharp knife. Forgot to get that. So we're just gonna roll it up like you would any other kind of cinnamon roll. There's part of my hole coming out there. So you have now a nice long cinnamon roll log. Okay, so we're gonna cut these about right there all the way down, and then